India Gold Conference this year that we have with us Professor Sundaravalli Narayanaswami, the chairperson of India Gold Policy Center, IIM Ahmedabad. She would be delivering a very special address on India's gold trade, evolutions from the past and emerging patterns. Giving a slightly broader brief on the Professor Sundaravalli Narayanaswami, let me tell you that she's a PhD in Industrial Engineering and Operations Research from IIT Mumbai, following a master's in Computer Science. Professor Narayanaswamy specializes in intelligent transportation systems, operations research in public systems, and urban transportation, along with management information systems and knowledge management. Her extensive research focuses on transportation operations and knowledge management, applying ICT and OR tools to solve impactful real-life problems. Please put your hands up as I invite Professor Sundaravalli Narayanaswamy on the stage to talk to us about India's gold trade, lessons from the past and the way ahead.
A very warm, pleasant morning today morning, and thanks to the India Gold Conference for inviting me for the keynote address. Before I start my keynote address, I would like to invoke a small prayer. Jnanandandamayam Devam, Nirmala Spatika Kridim, Adaram Sarva Vidyanam, Hayagrivam Upasmahe. This prayer is invoking Lord Hayagriva to impart us on the education and value systems that brings about the gold market. It's both a pleasure and honor to be standing in front of you as a keynote speaker for the 21st edition of India Gold Conference. On this gathering, this particular day is a little important, is more than important to us on various fronts. I would like to highlight three major things. This has happened in the recent few days. The first one being, in February 2024, the Reserve Bank of India granted banks to permit to trade on the IIBX, which was received very positively from the industry, and particularly SBI has started trading with IIBX. The bank participation further to this, on May 29, that is something that Mr. Ashok Gautam has shared with us, and in fact we saw some impressive slides of him. How much is the volume of the gold which is being traded in IIBX is increasing day by day. That's the second event that I would like to highlight. And the third and the recent one being the in the current budget, our Honorable Finance Minister, Mrs. Nirmala Sitharaman, had reduced the imposed customs duty on gold import to 6%, which again is a major thing that has spoken about in the industry. We would like to see how it impacts in the industry, particularly this import reduction. In IGPC, we work a lot on some of the number crunching that we do about the import and the export, and these numbers excite us for various reasons. First and foremost, I would like to think that India should become, in line with the Prime Minister's Atmanirbhar Bharat and Viksit Bharat, we want India to be self-reliant in multiple fronts and progress towards Viksit Bharat or to a developed country. And in this effort, what would be the role of gold in steering India towards this Viksit Bharat and Atmanirbhar Bharat? That is what is going to be the predominant focus of my few minutes of talk here. And particularly, when we look at the import-export, we have said this in the annual report also and in a couple of other occasions in a couple of other research articles as well. There has been a huge disparity between the import taxation that India has imposed. One is that there is a multiple duty structures. Second is that our preferential tax concessions to certain countries. This has also caused some amount of disparity, and we believe there is a little bit of either I can put it like an inefficiency or there is a scope for improvement. We focused on a few things. One about the gold findings and about the platinum alloys. This we talked a lot because since 2000 almost 80 tons of findings have been imported in the country, and out of these 80 tons, just for the past 2 financial years, we have imported nearly 48 tons. More than, almost half of this, more than half of this has come in these 2 years. In the same period, we have got around 500 tons of platinum alloy in the same period from 2000, whereas 23 tons of this 51 tons have come from 23 alone. It means, like, there is a duty differential, and traders are trying to utilize that duty differential. Am I bothered about this? Not much. Not much in the sense, why I am not too bothered? Because, I come from a business school. We come up from a business school, and we speak about how to do good business. We speak about how business establishments can make more money. So, if at all there is a problem, there is a duty differential, I believe that business establishments should try to leverage that benefit that happens because of the law. So, that is something that we may not be too bothered about. But what is the problem here? What is the problem here? Where exactly is the difficulty? This limits, and perhaps this imputes a little bit of, this compromises the level playing field in the industry. That is one thing that we would like to say. Because of these differential duty structures and because of these preferential rates to certain countries, big players are capable of rapidly able to move from one import structure to another import structure rather too quickly, which small players find it too difficult. And because of this, perhaps the volume is compromised. Because of this, perhaps the small players don't find space. We speak saying, in India, one thing that India can boast about in the world is about the volume. Our volume just doesn't come from the big numbers, doesn't come from the big players. It is about the aggregation. It is about the accumulating of the small player as well. So when we write our policy reports, we communicate to the government how everybody can be inclusive in this all scheme, how small players as well as big players can have a fair level of representation and a transparency in participating in this gold business. Particularly, few things I would like to say. Three countries at least I would like to bring into your notice: Benin, Niger, and Uganda have never ever exported gold to India. We have never imported from them. But only after Jan 2022 we did, because they classify under the least developed countries. And again, from Benin and Niger, after Jan 2023 it stopped. So there are serious ups and downs that we observe in the trade movement. That is something that I would like to bring in here. Now, with fewer importers, IABX volumes a little suffers. If it is available for everybody, yeah, I think we are going to have a improved business here. The second aspect that I would like to say here is, the government of India focuses mainly about this import, not from a market aberration perspective. They look at it from a current account deficit perspective. This again we continue to challenge. We continue to challenge in what way? For example, in the last quarter, I think in the last quarter, Q4 of FY 23-24, the finance minister announced we had a surplus. We had a current account surplus. When we looked at where this came from, at that particular month, our import had a steep fall, and we had a huge exports that particular quarter. So this is something that we would like to promote here. So we say, if the ministry is bothered about current account surplus, it should focus more on export. It should favor more about refineries, mining, recycling, internal production, Atmanirbhar. All those things would aid to manage the government or the treasury's current account deficit or surplus, how they want to do. Particularly when I am talking to the industry, I would like to say or mention a few things. How does gold contribute to the CAD or the CAS? Where do we want to stand? Where does gold want to stand? Do we want to be a deficit contributor or to a surplus contributor? I believe, yesterday in my in the round table, some of us were saying India is a consumer country. India is a consumer with respect to gold. I agree. But do we want to say that Indian gold does not have demand elsewhere? No, that's not the case. So as much as we are consuming, there is a significant scope for exporting as well. And when we are trying to, so we would like to say that, we should boost up our export. We should boost up our export not only in solid gold, in gold jewelry, perhaps even gems and jewelry. All that export can have a contribution in that. When we speak about the import part, we should look at ways and means of reducing the import. Is there a possibility for us to internally generate by either by mining or by refining or by recycling? So if you are able to cut down on the imports, or if you are able to minimize on the import, and we are able to improve on our exports, we believe gold would be contributing more to the Indian economy from a surplus perspective and not from a deficit perspective. So this is something that I would like to mention it once again here, because in the last quarter, first time after a long time, I was hearing current account surplus from the minister, from the finance minister. And when it comes to the government, so you may go back and say what the government has done for the industry, what the government has done. Quite something. In fact, I would like to mention in this part, the Common Facility Center, CFC in Mumbai. This was inaugurated in January, and this is intended to support nearly 10.26% of jewelry export from India, and nearly 85% of studded jewelry export. So this is a great infrastructure, and it is a state-of-the-art infrastructure, and this even attracts the European jewelers. So within a year of this announcement, the government-enabled jewelry exports, even through courier mode of delivery, has been enabled in 2023, where exports directly reach the consumers and the abroad retail directly. So I think the industry should leverage this as well. And after this diamond impressed license, which has again benefited our MSME exports, I think there is improved ways of creating and fostering this level playing field between gold traders. So that's the other thing that I would like to say here. And with respect to gold, gems and jewelry, between April 2019 and April 2024, we averaged something like 27% of export we had in gold jewelry. And in particular, we see that there is a significant, our data and our research says, there is a huge demand, and our Indian jewelry has enjoyed substantial interest and market in the overseas market, in abroad. In 2015, we had exported something to the tune of US dollars 7.6 billion. 2024, it grew up to 11.23 billion. And there's a steep increase of 16% increase year on year, and that too on 2023-24 alone. And that is one thing here. And in particular, about there are three or four countries which are perhaps I would like to say Thailand, Singapore, and Switzerland. Our exports have been to the tune of 12 million and 13 million and 19 million Indian rupees respectively. So there are some countries which are very keen to import Indian jewelry, and that should something to be targeted. And with respect to refining and mining, when you are looking at Indian refining, in 2020 we had mined around 1.6 tons of production, whereas our potential is something to the tune of 650 tons. So we believe there is a significant scope for enhancing our local mining. And in recent times, from the Ministry of Mines, we had this National Mineral Policy 2019 and Mines and Minerals Amendment Act in 2023, which have kind of simplified the mining process a lot. So the auctions for licenses are made more, they can proceed more seamless for mines in several states. And Karnataka, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, they are attempting to improve the mining there. In particular, if I had to say, there is this, the first large private gold mine, Deccan Gold Mine, is set to commence its operations later this year, and government, I think, would continue to improve the mining as well. Again, our efforts and whatever we are trying to write in terms of our policy efforts, we want to boost up both mining as well as refining capacity in India, in addition to contributing to the import as well as identifying where are all the scope for improvement, or where are all the scope for improving the efficiency in import as well as export. And the next thing that I would like to bring in here is, when we talk about import, one thing stands apart about this hallmarking, about this LBMA standard, about IGDS or about BAS standard. Somehow I think, it would do good to all the industry fellows out here if we are trying to hallmark, or if you are about to benchmark our gold products, either in terms of jewelry or or gold export. This would enhance the trust that both our agencies, be it government institutions as well as our foreign partners or anybody, the trust that they impose on us would enhance significantly if you are able to bring in some sort of a hallmark and some sort of a benchmarking to our products. That is again something that we have to closely work upon. When we talk about this recycling, and again when we speak here, there is a huge differentiation between formal and informal players. About 220 tons of our gold annual recycling. This is our average recycling on an annual basis. Here, the refiners' volume is something around 75 tons, and whereas the involvement of banks in scrap collection with jewelers, there is some better model that we can perhaps try to emulate. Perhaps we may want to do what Turkey has been doing. So banks' involvement in scrap collection, perhaps it would help us in doing recycling better. So these are some of the thought processes that I would like to put up in terms of my keynote address. There is a significant scope for managing our import and export, and in terms of our local production. In particular, when Indian currency is depreciating against US dollars, though our import volume has stayed consistent over the period of few years, our current account deficit increasing means there are only two reasons attributable to this. One is that the gold price has been increasing. Second is that the Indian currency is depreciating against dollar. These are the two things. In that case, when our currency is depreciating, it's better to export. An astute, a good businessman, when you know that my currency is not appreciating, we would try to export. So that is one thing that I would like to put up here as one more note on this. And I think that is all from me at this point of time. Already my time is up. So I think there is a huge opportunity for gold business, and lots of things are looking positive, and lots of scope for improvement. And if you want the government to support you, or if they want the government to come ahead along with this Viksit Bharat lines in the gold, I think the gold sector and the gold market and the gold business has to come up together as a very formidable force in strengthening India, in making India as the gold capital of the world. I think this all lies in your hands, and as well as in all our hands as well. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Have a good day. Have a great day today. Thank you very much.